What's going on, everybody? And welcome to I Am Shatoria, the rest of season 4. I'm your host, Shatoria C, and we are kicking February off right. We are walking in faith and we doing the whole thing. You know how we do. Welcome to our regular listeners and viewers, and welcome to our people who listen to it for the first time. Welcome, welcome. You're now family. Hey, we're kicking February off right with us living out in faith and doing things a lot bigger and a lot different. So I want you to prepare yourself for what you guys are about to see, hear, and, sit back and chill and watch, all right? This is a place where we kick back, we have a good time, and we speak about a whole lot, and hey, shed a couple of tears too, all right? So sit back, relax, and I want you guys to enjoy the show, all right? Welcome. Come on in. I Am Shatoria Podcast, Season 4. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another show of I Am Shatoria. And let me tell you, this show about to be real though. Like, I'm really excited. I'm like a little kid again. So I have to introduce you to this person. She's like the dopest person I know. So if you read my book, you know there's a chapter that goes from city to country. And I went to this country little town because I'm a city girl. I went to this country little town called Greensboro, Georgia. I didn't know what God had for me. And Lord behold, he's giving me some great assets out of it. However, for me, I was this 8th grader and I thought the high schoolers was really cool. And the young lady you see on the screen, her twin brother, I was like, yes, the people's right there. So I want you guys to absolutely show some love to Candace Woods, who is, y'all don't understand, I loved her growing up. So, when social media came out and I was able to find her, I was like, yes. And she just remembered me as this little bitty girl with a ponytail, But hey, so Candace is here today, you guys, as we are in season 4, and y'all know how I do. We talk about faith, we talk about all those things. And the crazy part about what she has going on is absolutely dope. Like, she got a whole business university that is faith-based. So all you business owner who's still trying to grow and you trying to be in faith with it, she is your person, okay? Yeah. She's the person to talk to. But with that said, I want to introduce you guys again to the one and only Candace Woods out of Greensboro, Georgia, out here doing some great things. So hi, beautiful.
Hi, lovely. How are you?
I'm good. Like, I am excited about our conversation today and what we're going to be telling the peoples. First of all, I laugh because coming from a small town, people don't expect much.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed Greensboro been acting up lately. They got people, 49ers got Blair. We got a couple of singers coming out of, Greene County. I'm like, Kate Bridge, J.R. Reed. We got things just flowing. I'm excited. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. We got authors coming out.
You better.
And you got a whole academy.
Yeah.
To help people. What really made you start that? Because a lot of us ain't into that. So what made you be like, let me start this academy for business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it was really on a happenstance, in a sense. I wasn't really setting out to start a business academy. I actually started business as a side hustle roughly about 7 years ago. It was like kind of something that I could use or make some extra money to do. And I tried, different types of businesses to get into. And then I found myself in a place where I was really just seeking God for purpose and meaningfulness in my existence. And so I worked a 9-to-5 job. I worked for a nonprofit organization, loved it. But I knew that there was more for me to do. And I just can recall attending church one Sunday, and actually it was New Year's. It was New Year's, I think watch night service. And then that next morning, I was in prayer, just asking God, like, God, what is my purpose? Like, well, why do you have me here? And he gave me some instruction and led me to start working with my first life and business coach, Giovanna Ellison, who was also my first lady at the time. And so she introduced me to this concept called purpose, and helped me to learn how to find my purpose. And so I kind of started on this journey, and I remember praying and seeking God for clarity, like, okay, how can I use this full time? Because when I worked my 9-to-5 job, I wasn't able to talk about faith. I wasn't able to pray with the people that I served because, you have to be, there are boundaries that we have to respect when you're working for someone else. And so I ended up just really asking God, like, how can I do this full time and really be free to do it? And so, lo and behold, there was a crossroad that came up. My doors were closing. My father ended up ill, and I ended up having to move back home to Greene County, Georgia, to help him. And I remembered the prayer that I prayed and asking God to do what I love full time. And I couldn't get a job back home. It was either a situation where there was, it wasn't paying enough, or, it wasn't worth my time, or I had to drive really far in order to work there. And so I just like, hey, I have this background in business. I've been given the tools. I'm just going to step out on faith. And I started my business as a mindset coach initially. And then I started to get questions where people would ask me, how did you start your business, or how did you write your book, or how did you do all these different things? And so I just started to create programs where I was teaching people how to start business. And so that's where Destiny University, my business academy, was birthed. It came from people asking questions about how to do it. And I just decided, you know what, if I'm getting this many people asking me questions, I'm just going to package it and price it and sell the answer to that question. And that's how Destiny University was birthed. But it was really more so about not just answering that question, but also teaching people how you can align faith and business. And so that's what I do in a nutshell.
How many students do you currently have right now?
I currently have 30 students
Wow.
in Destiny University. And I also have some one-on-one coaching clients as well that I work with for various reasons, whether it's they want to write their book, or whether they want to start their own business in some capacity. So yeah, currently about 30,
I'm loving
35.
that. So
Yeah.
okay, so to some of our other questions, what inspires you? Like what, we all had that thing that make us just get up and like, yes, today is the day. But what inspires Candace Woods?
I think a combination of things. Like when I think about, my why for even doing
Mm,
what I love, number one, it was for personal fulfillment because I found myself, working a 9 to 5 job. And it wasn't that I hated what I did. There was just so many limits. And so each and every day that I get the opportunity to be free,
mm,
to do what I love and to also be able to talk about God and align, my values and belief systems and what I do, it gives me another level of fulfillment and purpose. And so that's one of the reasons. But also being in business full time has allowed me the flexibility to be able to serve my family well. And that was really important for me as well. Just having aging parents,
mhm.
and just being available to them to be able to take them to appointments. My father's had some health issues these past couple of years. So just being able to, take my business and if he has to be admitted into the hospital, being able to do my business in the hospital room or taking it anywhere has been an amazing blessing to me in these past couple of years. And and I get to make money to
Yep.
do what I love. And so yeah, so I think about it from, family, past, present, and future, in a sense, not just my parents now, but just honoring, my grandmother and, her legacy and, the things that she aspired for me to do and be, but then also thinking about leaving a legacy to my children, my future children, moving forward as well. So yeah,
I
that's
like
that's
how
what
you
keeps me
said that
pushing.
that vision, that vision, that purpose, because that is my faith that I be able to
Yeah.
just be, because everybody, I'm watching people be in faith. They're retiring from the military, and I'm like, what are you about to do? Nothing. I am about to do what I desire to do. And so
Yeah.
for God to be like, don't entertain job
Mhm.
options. And I'm like, huh. And so I'm having to be in that faith, like, okay, Jesus,
Yeah.
like I said, this is the calm as I've been. Jesus is, it's like having an epidural. I'm calm. We cool. I'm about to leave a whole career that I've done for 21 years
Wow.
Doing what I love, though, like you said,
Yeah.
it's doing what I
Yeah.
love, and that's speaking to people, and that's teaching people and loving on people about faith over
Yeah.
anything. So, but one of the things I do want to ask, because a lot of times when we speak and we talk and everything else, and let's be honest, social media is like a cover up. It's a band-aid. We don't, a lot of us don't. I am, and okay with it. I have no problem showing the struggle I had where I went. And I've had people tell me, why would you put stuff like that about your past? Because baby, you need to know everything I put on there is because it's a purpose. So yes, it's not what we
Yes.
expect, but at the same time, no, you needs to know that I got here. I had a struggle bus like everybody else. So when you look over everything, what has been that struggle that had just made you go, I got this?
Yeah, wow. It goes back to even, even family. I think, we talked about growing up, in a small small town, right? And I just remember growing up, my parents were married up until my brother and I were about 14 years old, and then they divorced. And what a lot of people didn't know is that, I lived a life even, or learned to live even back in high school, how to put on a mask and pretend to be
Yes.
okay, and how to suffer in silence. And so we went through a lot of transition at that time, but and I invested a lot of my energy into church, and just doing things, at school, and just staying busy, just so that I wouldn't have to think about, the pain that I was going through at home, and the struggles that we were having at home. And so, interestingly enough, I had a strange relationship with my father, and, I felt abandoned. And so, what ended up happening was I felt, rejected. And so that made me feel like I wasn't enough, I was inadequate. And so I went through having that mindset for most of my life, like my teenage years into college years. And so, ultimately, and it began to not just affect relationships, it affected pretty much everything that I did. And so, after going through a divorce, in 2020, 2005, 2005, I really had to kind of just redirect my life and rethink about, what I really wanted in life. And that's how I kind of realized I struggled with a mindset of lack, and a mindset of, feeling like I was inadequate. And so, fast forwarding into business, I became a mindset coach because I struggled with my mindset.
Mm.
And I learned that in order to be able to overcome those mindset, the best way to do it was to teach, right? To teach and to show others how to break those mindsets. And so the more that I learned how to do it and applied it, the more that I was able to teach it to others. And so, I really and truly feel like I'm still a work in progress. Like every now and then I kind of find moments when I'm like, okay, Candace, you gotta, you have to encourage yourself, and you got to remember who you are. You're not that same person anymore, and just remind myself constantly who I am. But yeah, that's been one of the greatest struggles for me, and I overcame it by just teaching it and helping other people who had similar experiences.
It's funny that you say that, because in order for me to teach about faith and forgiveness, I had to done it. And
Mm-hmm.
when a friend of mine read the book, she goes, I can tell you're free from this. Like, you really got true freedom. So when I tell people, no, I'm really am free, they be like, how you just forgive people like that? Because it was a work in progress. I was able
Mm-hmm.
to write a whole workbook on
Mm-hmm.
how to forgive and be in freedom. And what a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
don't understand is, for me, you got to be in faith to do it. You got to
Yes.
trust. And like you said, it's the mind.
Yes.
Mindsets have to change in order for you to move forward. So if you in faith,
Mm-hmm.
you got to do that change, which is your mind. Because when your
Mm-hmm.
mind starts to change, your mouth start to change.
That's
And
it. Yeah.
that's when the things start to happen. And you be like, what? Like, because you
Yeah.
changing your mind. And so I like how you said you had to change those things in order for you to get where you had to go, which is
Yeah.
here. And you're not
Yeah.
ashamed of it. Um,
Yeah.
I think a lot of us,
Yeah.
we're ashamed of the way our past was. I tell people, look, I was parentless. I had my grandparents, praise God, but I wasn't raised by my parents. And did it hurt me? Absolutely. I did things I wasn't supposed to do. If y'all want to know about that, read the book. I did a lot of things, just a lot. But look at me now. I'm not mad about it. I forgave them, and I am moving on in that freedom. So I always try to remind people, your mindset can literally kill you.
Yes.
It can take you, demons are real. And this is when we talk about mental health and stuff like that. Your mind can seriously take you into some dark places. So in order for your mind to be right, you got to change your thinking. You got to change the way you speak. And then sometimes, as you said, you got to cut some folks off, including family.
Yes.
I tell people,
including
blood does not mean we are family.
That's it.
I stick with that.
Yeah. And that's a great perspective to have a lot of times. And I think it's challenging for a lot of people, especially when you're from a small town and who you know is all you know. Right. And I think it's different when we've had experiences where, I graduated from college. I met my ex-husband in college, and I ended up moving to Alabama. And some people might feel like, oh, well, that's not too different from Georgia, but it's not exactly the place or the location as much as it was the people that God blessed me to be around, who taught me different perspectives and taught me different, ways of thinking and handling myself. And a lot of that was a faith walk. It was a faith journey in and of itself for me, because I learned not just about who I am, but I really learned what it means to have a relationship with Christ. Like, when you're out there kind of like on a limb, by yourself, and you don't have mom and dad to run to, you kind of have to, figure it out. And I'm just grateful that, God blessed me and placed me in a path of people who I call my family now, who are not blood related to me, but probably some of the most inspirational people in my life, who've really helped to guide me and lead me in the right direction. So
I'm gonna throw this tidbit in, and I've never told you, so I'm gonna go tell you now. I know people listen.
Okay.
So I always used to ask God why I just remember things. I see why now. That's how I was able to write the book, because I remember things. So I remember you always guiding me. Always guiding me. You used to always tell me, "You beautiful girl." We'd be in the cafeteria. And if I feel, and as I remember, I can literally visualize it and remember us sitting at tables, because I thought y'all was the cool.
Yeah.
And I gravitated to you guys because I couldn't gravitate to anyone else. Y'all was so open. Y'all was very open. Y'all was like, girl, come on over here and sit with us. And it used to be you. I remember Kim Red, Pansy Jernigan, and I remember it clearly because we all used to ride the bus together too. So they used to, and you used to have me sitting next to you. And I felt like this big girl, and you used to always remind me of who I was. And you was like, you're going to have a good day today.
Yeah.
Our bell used to ring before yours. And you used to be like, okay, you go be great. Don't let these folks tell you nothing crazy. And I'm like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes. And I remember that because, at the end of the day, those things matter to me now, because I go back and I go, and you definitely said, I didn't even have to say, you said, God gives you people who are not blood. And you was part of my growth,
Wow.
You was part of that growth for me, because I could go back and remember you getting on my case, but it was out of love. You never did it wrongly. You'd be like, okay, what are you doing? And why are you doing? Don't be worried about it. Go sit down somewhere. And at the time, my feelings was hurt, because I was like, man, she fussed at me. But I needed that, though. I needed the fussing. I needed to be like, no, do this in order to get this. And it's almost like the prodigy son. It was one of those, I hear you. Okay. And now I'm back going, well, shoot, I would tell you, thank you. I believe in giving people their flowers while they're still alive, because I remember those days, and I remember those days having hard days. And you said something, I had to write it down. I remember me wearing a mask, And I wore a mask for years. My mask was my smile, talking a lot, all of that. That was my mask. And so I used to I literally used to get offended when people say, oh my God, you talk too much, you do this and you do that. Now when people are like, girl, you talk too much. I do. I have a whole podcast show.
You got a whole podcast, girl.
Got a whole book. But I don't get offended by those things because that's what God done for me. And so you was part of that growth for me. I have to give people their flowers and give them their credit, because growing up, I did not have parents, and I also didn't have older siblings. So for me, you and Courtney, all y'all was them older siblings for me. I was like, yeah, because y'all was accepting too. That was another thing. Y'all was open arms. I didn't have to worry about if y'all actually liked me. If it was fake, you know. Being in a small town is just
trust me, I know. I've been through it, I've been through it. But ironically, even as you were talking, I think it was just something that we learned to embrace, because my parents were foster parents. And so we learned how to connect and accept so many different, children in our homes over the years. And I don't even think we realized how it shaped us, at that time, to be accepting of others, no matter what their circumstances were. You know what I'm saying? Like we were quote unquote, poor in a sense, coming up, but we didn't always feel like it. You know what I'm saying? We didn't really, know, that's what it was. However, we just learned to accept others, and so I always look, like there CC Armstrong was like my one of my favorite teachers at the time. And she was just like so accepting of me, and she kind of took me on and called me her little sister. And I think when you and I connected, I don't have sisters, I have a brother, and so I always just gravitated towards you, like, oh, I finally get to have like a little sister, like she's my little
a big sister. I was like, because I didn't have older siblings. I didn't have older siblings. I had my little sister, and I don't even know if you know, I struggled. Like I was struggling to fit in. I literally just did a Motivation Monday about it. No, it wasn't even a Motivation Monday. It was just one of those random days. And I literally said, stop trying to be that shape to fit in a shape that does not match. That was me. I was trying to fit into groups of people. And as an adult, now I realize we all as kids was just going through a lot at that time. To where I do talk to a lot of them now. Because I truly care about people. Like I really want y'all to be great. Like I do. And so I thank you for just being that person, because honestly, I didn't really have people. And I would say, and people may not agree, but after you guys all graduated and left, it just went kapoof after that. I didn't have anyone. I didn't have no one to look up. And one thing I was telling a family member, we're family members by marriage. So for me, when you think about our small town, when you family members by blood, y'all tight, y'all like whoosh, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
For me, there was no defending.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was one of those ones, I'm out there hanging by a string trying to figure life out. My dad just came back in the picture, and I really don't want to be bothered with him. My mom is doing everything else. She's trying to get her life right, but I'm just mad at her. And then people didn't know that. At 7 years old, right before I even came to Greensboro, Georgia, I was molested. So I had no, and I wrote it in my book, I was cutting from 4th grade to my senior year of high school.
Wow.
My grandma used to get on my case because I would wear her makeup, but she later found out I was using it for my arms and stuff like that. And I wanted to fit in so bad because I had nothing. Like I'm not living with my mom. My dad ain't acting right. I'm trying to figure life out. I'm just done. And so I was like, you know what? It's just best that I just do this. And I did it all up to my senior year to where I think was not I think I know my last attempt was in actually 20 years ago.
Mm.
Um and I laugh how this is my year of retirement. And I was like, oh Jesus, a lot has happened
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm.
20 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so to know that 20 years has gone by to where it was my last attempt,
Mm.
and it's like, okay, we getting this, we doing it. And so yeah, you
Yeah.
was definitely part of that tribe
Wow.
as a little middle schooler, little seventh grader, 13-year-old, 14-year-old. I was like, oh my God, let me go hang out. And I would be praying like, let them come to school today. Let them come to school today. Um,
Yeah.
because I knew it was like, okay, things will be cool. So it was, and I felt real special because I was high school. So, I was
Yeah. And
like,
people used to tell me all the time, and still to this day, they say, "Oh, you were so popular in school." I didn't see it that way. I
girl,
didn't. I
I
was
said
just
the same
like,
thing to somebody. I'm
I
like, cool.
no, no, I didn't feel that way. I was just as I think I felt just as awkward and out of place as other people did. I think I just learned how to cover it up a little bit better than
I
most.
wasn't popular. I was definitely an isolated one. It took a
Mm-hmm.
one of my classmates to actually said one day, I never forget, I came home for our 20th anniversary, our 20th reunion. And she
Mm-hmm.
said, I remember, I honestly didn't think anybody remember that, but she said, on our senior trip, you had a room by yourself. I didn't even write that in our book. Did I write that in my book? I don't remember writing it in my book. I have to read that again. But remember being on this senior trip, nobody wanted to share a room with me.
Oh, wow.
Nobody wanted to share a room with me. So it was one of those things to where it was really like, I'm 18 years old. Nobody really cares for me like that. And then I think the topper for me was graduation night. That was like my tipping point because my
Mm,
father had his mom call me to tell me he wasn't coming to my graduation. So
mm,
when I look back at graduation photos and I see classmates with their families, I didn't have that. I had my grandparents, now hands down,
mm-hmm.
grandparents were awesome, but it was a reminder. And people who are listening, it's a real reminder of how much damage was
Mm,
done just by words and actions. And so
mm-hmm.
a lot of people have to understand, you you say things, you do things. Even if we were teens, a lot of that caused a lot of damage for people. And so
Yeah.
it was one of those things I literally had to grow from
Mm-hmm.
and actually see the actions and the person
Mm-hmm.
as separate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's good.
and that's when I said, okay, we cool. I'm not
Yeah.
mad at you. Because at
Yeah.
the time we were teens, but at the same time, we're a reflection of what we're being taught. And now as a mom, I'm dealing with it with my 8-year-old, which is now a hard part because, she is very live. She has a voice and she expressed that voice. She has a voice and we tell her she can use her voice respectfully the whole time now, but now I'm dealing with the bullying stage. And what I see
Mm,
in her is what I dealt with. I just didn't have a voice.
mm-hmm.
Oh, but see, she has a different mama.
No.
I'm not wrapped too tight. We're not doing this. So I get it because she feels isolated. She feels alone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, I remember that feeling. And
Mm-hmm.
she's me. She's sensitive. I was sensitive. So I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate you and Courtney just being open.
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all knew I was a sensitive little bunch, but y'all didn't. Y'all made sure I was straight.
But
When I graduated, I was
I
like a bounce.
speaking for me, I just loved you. I adored you. Like I just thought you were just the sweetest thing, and I loved how your energy, like you were so. It just seemed like you were just so excited about, And I didn't even know what you were going through and what you were dealing with, at the time. But you were just so fun. I just loved your energy. Like you always were just excited to see us and to talk to us and be around us. And so, and even just kind of watching you from afar, like there was always this leader inside of you, that I can recall. And I don't know, I just gravitated to you for that reason. And
I am thankful.
I'm glad that I did. I'm
I'm
thankful as well.
I'm so
Yeah.
thankful. I know we don't got all off topic. I just had to give you your flowers and tell you thank
Thank
you
you.
because
Thank
I'm
you.
really big about that. And I think people need to understand faith can change a lot of things. And
Mhm.
with that, I want you, before we go, I want you to ask the question, what is the most important thing in your life?
Oh, you know what? It's simple for me. My relationship with God. Like without my relationship with God, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be have the level of peace that I have with, my circumstances. This has been a faith walk. When I tell you, just kind of jumping and taking the leap into full-time business, coming from a small town where you have, family and friends who don't understand why on earth wouldn't you want to go get a day job where you have quote unquote guaranteed money coming in? Why would you want to put yourself through that? Why don't you just go and get a job? And I struggle with that, that decision for the first couple of years. But God blessed me with a mother who was like, you know what? If this is what you have to do, I support you. And so just having that support system has really blessed me. But more specifically and more importantly, my relationship with God has really been what has kept me in business this long, just seeing, the successes and then the hills and the valleys that come with, being an entrepreneur, but then also the growth, the spiritual growth that you start to obtain, just in kind of walking this journey. And some days you don't know if you're going to get a client. Some days you don't know, if your lives are working, if people are really watching and listening. But
Mm.
then it's those moments when you walk into the grocery store and somebody says, "Hey, I saw you on Facebook the other day, and it really blessed my life. It really touched my life. Keep going, keep going. It really helped me." And just those small wins are so rewarding. And so I give it all praise and glory to God for having me on this journey and this path, because He's really kept me, like I've been able to maintain a pretty good income, and still take care of my dad, and do some things that I truly desire to do. And I believe that the best is still yet to come. And so
Amen.
that's really and truly what has really just kept me this
Now
long.
that's
Yeah.
dope. Before we go, I want you to tell people how they can contact you
Yeah.
and get more information.
Yeah, so I am on Facebook and Instagram, and it's at Candace B. Woods Coaching. I am currently working on an anthology project with several ladies for in Destiny University, and I am going to launch a certification program for mindset coaches coming up, hopefully, preferably around about March or April or so. And if anyone is interested in learning the skills and tools on how to become a mindset coach, you can reach me on my website at CandaceBWoods.com, or just email me at info at CandaceBWoods.com.
Oh, I can't wait. I may need to tell my senior about this coaching. Um, but hey guys, thank you guys. So here's the thing, y'all know how we do. So definitely know when you guys are watching this, y'all should be able to go click all her links and hit her up and all those fun things. Also, if you have not got your tickets, I need you to go get your tickets. She will be with us speaking in March for our first quarterly workshop. So and she's talking about our favorite topic, which is faith. So definitely get your ticket. It is $10, y'all. Get your ticket. It is virtual. It's 2 hours out your day. We gonna literally have conversation. And then you guys can get more information. And plus, we got some goodies in there. Like, y'all know me. I like to give away stuff. So definitely get your tickets at iamshatoria.com /events.1. And you guys should be able to click it. You should see it and going. But so definitely hit her up. You guys will see her again in March. Get your tickets. I want to thank you so much again for just coming and blessing me with your presence.
Thank
Love you
you.
so
This
much.
is a blessing.
Absolutely.
I love you too.
Hey team, thank you guys for checking in. You already know to go to iamshatoria.com for all information, events that we got coming up. Do know we have our Paint and Simp virtually coming up in May. And our huge event is definitely coming up in September. Get your seats. They are going. Here in Oklahoma City, I Am Forgiveness to Freedom, the 3rd annual event. I am truly excited. And we got some other great things coming out. Also, I need you guys, if you ain't paid attention, the book is out there. So get your pre-sale of the new book, Women with Unshakable Faith, where I had the opportunity to collaborate with other women on the anthology book about our faith. So you can pre-order from me again at iamshatoria.com. See the link and get your book. Book will be out April 2023. I'm super excited. We got a lot of things going. So come back and check us out next week. We will be back with someone else new. Y'all just never know who I'm going to bring. Like, I get really excited meeting people. So, really excited. Love you guys. Thank you. You guys know I always say walk in love, live fearlessly, and have a whole lot of fun.